Good evening and welcome everyone to the Bowie, Mitchellville, and vicinity Master Plan Community Chat for Housing and Neighborhoods. My name is Thomas Lester with the Prince George's Planning Department, Long Range Planning Section, and I'm the project manager for the master plan. First, I'd like to say before we begin that the presentation and Q&A will be recorded and posted online. A copy of the PowerPoint will also be posted on our website for download. We ask that during the presentation, you keep your microphone muted and your camera off until called upon. However, you may ask questions and provide comments using the chat box. Please be polite in your questions and comments. Due to limited time, we may not be able to answer every question, but you can contact the team by sending an email to bvmp@ppd.mncppc.org or sign up for our office hours at our website. Now let's introduce the project team. I'm joined today by Andrew McCrae, Deputy Project Manager. Andrew will be our main presenter for this evening. Also Garrett Dickerson, core team member, and I'm joined by resource team member Ted Kowalik. Ted will be engaged in our Q&A portion of the meeting. I will also be tonight's moderator and will monitor the chat box for questions and comments during the Q&A. For tonight's agenda, we will present a quick overview of the project, followed by a more detailed look at the findings regarding housing and neighborhoods from the existing conditions report. And then we will roll into our question and answer portion of the meeting. Let's take a look at the project schedule. The County Council formally initiated the master plan process on February 18th, 2020, and then it was publicly kicked off on June 13th. Since then, the project team has worked with a consultant in the community and stakeholders to produce an existing conditions report, which is currently online for download. In the coming months, we will continue our community chat series covering each of the plan elements, and then we'll prepare a playbook of strategies that addresses many of the challenges and opportunities identified in order to inform a draft master plan that will be presented to the public next year. We will then continue through the legislative process with an anticipated planning board adoption date in December of 2021 and district council approval in spring of 2022. The master plan area is in the northeast portion of the county. It is southeast of Laurel, west of Maryland 193, north of Upper Marlboro, and abuts the Patuxent River to the east. It includes the city of Bowie and portions of Mitchellville and Collington. This master plan will primarily focus on the future of existing commercial and employment areas, such as the Bowie Local Town Center, Bowie State University, Bowie State Mark Station Campus Center, Old Town Bowie, and the Collington Trade Zone. It will also focus on 3 corridors, Maryland 197, Maryland 450, and US 301, Maryland 3. The 2 main goals of the Bowie, Mitchellville, and vicinity master plan are to advance the policies outlined in the county's general plan, Plan 2035, and to provide specific implementable strategies to meet the vision of the plan area. The vision will be crafted with input from the community and other stakeholders to create a long-term plan for this area of the county. Once approved, it will replace the 2006 Bowie and vicinity master plan and the 2010 Bowie State Mark sector plan. A quick recap, on September 16th, we held our draft existing conditions report presentation. This presentation provided an overview of the report. We also formed small discussion groups to talk about the challenges and opportunities for the plan area. You can watch the main presentation on our website. Also, please note that the full report is currently on our website and can be downloaded by section in PDF format. Unfortunately, you cannot download the entire file at once due to the file size. So next, each master plan is made up of 8 plan elements: economic prosperity, housing and neighborhoods, land use, transportation and mobility, community heritage, culture and design, healthy communities, public facilities, and natural environment. Tonight, we'll take a closer look at housing and neighborhoods. Now I'll pass it on to Andrew to hear specifically about this planning element.
Thank you, Thomas. Again, good evening, everyone. And as Thomas said, at this time, I'll provide you with an overview of the housing and neighborhood section of the draft existing conditions report. But before getting started, I wanted to share with you some quick background information on this key master plan element. This element, much like all of the other master plan elements, is guided by Plan 2035, the general plan for Prince George's County. In that plan, it puts an emphasis on individuals having an opportunity to age in place, which refers to your ability to continue to live safely and independently in your home or neighborhood as you age and as your mobility and health change. Plan 2035 also discusses housing affordability opportunities and increasing the county's supply of multifamily housing in response to both market demand and larger planning objectives. Additionally, Plan 2035 favors creating a range of housing types that meet the needs of all households, including millennials and senior residents. And so, more specifically, in today's review, we will discuss the plan area's current and existing housing stock, so basically, both looking at the types of housing constructed in the area and years in which those units were constructed. Next, we'll look at the household demand on specific housing types, followed by an overview of what types of housing the market is currently producing. Then we'll lead into an in-depth discussion of how multifamily housing is performing and concluding with housing affordability challenges and opportunities in this area. So now we'll go on to the next slide. As far as the housing stock is concerned, the majority of Bowie, Mitchellville, and vicinity neighborhoods are made up of single-family homes, with single-family detached homes accounting for 71% of all housing stock in the master plan area. As a largely suburban community, it is unsurprising that most of the housing stock in the planning area is single-family detached. Additionally, roughly 76% of residential units in the planning area were built more than 20 years ago. Most of the construction occurred between 1980 to 1999. This is also on track with the area's demographic characteristics, as the master plan area has an older population who are more likely to own homes and have larger families than the county's population overall. And now we'll go to the next slide. Taking a look at the housing stock by unit type, this graph illustrates the housing stock constructed by specific unit types. Note the dark blue highlights the housing type constructed in the plan area, and the light blue highlights the county's housing. As discussed in the previous slide, single-family detached units are the overwhelming most constructed housing type in the planning area and county. Additionally, to no surprise, multifamily units are the least constructed unit types in the planning area to date. So that's just a graph to kind of illustrate what's happening as far as housing is concerned. Give you a second. All right. So moving on to another graph. This graph highlights the years in which housing was built in the plan area. As you can see, before 1960, only 4% of the overall housing stock was constructed. However, between 1960 and 1999, this area experienced its biggest housing boom, accounting for over 70% of the overall housing stock. So I give you a chance to look at that graph as well. It just highlights the different years in which housing was constructed, all up until present day. So 2010 to later. Going to the next. As far as the housing demand is concerned, the Bowie-Mitchellville Vicinity Master Plan is projected to gain roughly 1,700 households by 2024, with almost all of the growth stemming from increases in households of ages 65 and older. During the same time period, the master plan area is also projected to experience a large decrease in households ages 45 to 54, with over 1,000 households projected to leave the master plan area over the next 5 years. Potential push factors could include lack of affordability, a lack of diverse housing options, which residents could be pulled into other areas by factors such as transit, school quality, and availability of amenities. Lastly, growth of older residents and loss of larger households may create housing gaps and surpluses in different housing types. So this is providing an overview of the current housing demand and projected. So as far as this graph highlights the total projected number of households by age, by specific age groups. As you can see, again, this is only looking at the next 5 years, but people of age groups 45 to 54 and 56 to 64 years old are expected to decrease or decline. Residents in ages 64 through 74 and 75 old are expected to increase over the next 5 years, based off the projections that we have. And all this information can be found in the draft existing conditions report. Moving on to the next slide, talking about housing market by product type. So as stated earlier, single family construction is the overwhelming housing type constructed in the planning area, with roughly 22,700 houses being constructed to date. That number doesn't include the 630 single family houses in the current development pipeline, which means these are houses that have been approved by Prince George's County Planning Board, but not completely built. So next, this also includes 5,300 townhouses in the current housing stock and 883 houses in the pipeline, followed by 1,900 condominium units and 128 in the pipeline, and lastly, 1,800 multifamily units and 1,825 units in the development pipeline for multifamily housing. I will note that majority units in the pipeline are associated with two specific projects, one being Milford Town Center located at US 301 and Maryland 301/3, and the other being South Lake, also known as Carrington, located on the southwest quadrant of US 301 and Maryland 214. So just providing you a little context for those, the housing market. All right. Moving on, as far as residential development pipeline, at this time, as discussed in the previous slide, the chart illustrates the residential pipeline and planning area by specific unit types. As you can see, multifamily is the most projected housing unit in the development pipeline. Okay. And as far as the multifamily market performance is concerned, the master plan area has seen just one recent market rate multifamily delivery. So that's seen one multifamily be recently constructed, and vacancy has remained largely unchanged. And so with the current vacancy rate ranging from 5 to 6%, despite the lack of new supply. As mentioned before, the housing stock and market rate product is expected to grow substantially over the next 10 years, with over 1,800 apartment units slated to be delivered at the Milford Town Center and South Lake projects, respectively. To respond to the increasing demand for senior living communities, there is an opportunity for future multifamily development to market itself to this growing demographic. Just thinking about future opportunities in the housing market. And so, last slide before moving forward into the guiding questions. Right at this time, housing affordability, which is extremely important. Residents earning less than $20,000 annually are the most cost burden demographic, which is defined as households that pay more than 30% of their income on housing. Extreme housing cost burden amongst the master plan area lowest income rental households indicates an opportunity for new mixed income multifamily development to meet this demand. More specifically, most census block groups where median household income is lower than the master plan's overall median income fall actually within the city of Bowie boundaries. And lastly, there are various programs in Prince George's County targeted to both developers and residents that may serve as beneficial to increasing affordable housing opportunities. And additionally, I would note that Prince George's County has a housing for opportunities plan that contains the county's housing policies and strategies. And so I would encourage you to check that document out when you get a chance. It will be dropped in the chat box shortly. So definitely have a chance to look at that document. So moving on, so essentially at this time, we'll move on to the next segment of tonight's community chat. And during this time, we want to encourage you all to participate. We hope that this is a healthy and robust dialogue that provides the project team with insight, feedback, and suggestions from you on how to plan for housing in neighborhoods in Bowie, Mitchellville, the city for the next 20 to 25 years, right? You can participate in this part of the event by responding to questions in the chat box or by simply raising your virtual hand. Once called upon by me or Thomas, you can unmute yourself and speak. We hope these questions are helpful in guiding tonight's discussion, and we'll reserve a time for questions from the audience following this segment. So please follow me as I move forward to the first question of the night. And so please tell us what attracted you to the Bowie, Mitchellville, and vicinity area? So that's the first question we'll lead with. Give you all a chance to respond to that.
So it looks like we have a hand raised by Tamika. So feel free to unmute.
Okay, and look, I'm sorry, I was having trouble unmuting. For us, we have smaller children, so we were looking at the quality of the elementary schools. And so 20715 and 20716 and the crime rate had really good low crime rates. And then 20715 zip code, the elementary school zoned for that zip code, had very high scores. And so and I think that's really what a lot of families anyway look for when they look for housing. How are the schools, or how's the crime, and what's the community like? So we wanted to make sure that we had a majority of a low crime, decent schools, mostly homes with families, and good neighborhoods.
Okay,
Great,
well,
thank you.
thank you for that, Tamika. Did anyone else want to take a chance at responding? Again, this question pertains to both renters and homeowners. We really want to know, what about this planning area did you find unique when deciding to move here? Was it simply housing options, neighborhood, et cetera? I know Tamika mentioned crime and schools. So take a chance to respond. Thomas, do we have anything in the chat that we would like
Sure,
to
a
highlight for the
couple
rest?
comments. People mentioned green space. Another person mentioned major highways, green space, amenities, schools, low crime rate. We also have open space, affordability of single family houses, larger properties, and the RA zone single family houses.
Got it.
So it
Okay.
sounds like green space is a large attraction in open space.
No, absolutely. Okay. No. Thank you for those comments, and thank you for sharing that, Thomas. I saw a few people raise their hand. I
Yeah.
think I saw Beverly first, if I'm not mistaken. Beverly, did you want to go ahead and unmute yourself and speak?
Yes, hello everybody. So I can't see you all, so I'm trying to change computers. But what we would love to see in this area is first floor homes. It just seems like every builder is trying to build everything with 3 floors or everything with all these stairs. And then when we talked about first floor homes, we talked about for handicap. They immediately thought that we meant for elderly handicap. No, I'm speaking for people who are young with handicaps that cannot do the stairs. And so that's what we're looking for. Even my husband and I, we're looking for a first floor home because we have the land space out here, but yet keep the green space as well. So that's important for us.
Got it. So just so I can provide some clarity on your response, um, are you, you're saying you was attracted to Bowie because of the green space, but as
So
far as, okay.
So let me tell you why we were attracted to Bowie. We were attracted to Bowie because of the land space that surrounding our home. We weren't right on top of another home. Like we have spaces in between the homes. You had 1 acre lots, you had 2 acre lots. That's what brought us here from Brandywine. We used to live in Brandywine, Maryland, where you can literally stick your hand out the window and give your neighbor a cup of sugar. So here, the reason why we moved from there and we did retire is because we needed a first floor bedroom home. I am 100% disabled veteran that cannot do stairs. And so when we came here, there wasn't a lot of options. And I still see that problem with my other friends who are now retired and they have medical needs and they cannot do the stairs. But there's not a lot of options with first floor bedroom homes.
Hmm. Well, Beverly, we thank you for those comments. I think that's extremely important. We actually have a question that'll follow this question shortly that actually touches on, as far as housing demand and just, housing types that'll be, that the area that we would like to hear a little bit more about. So thank
Okay.
you for those comments, Beverly.
It looks
You're
like we
welcome.
have another hand, Andrew. It's M. Forgive me, Yual. Yual.
If you want to go ahead and mute yourself and speak. Uh,
I think we have a lowered hand.
okay. Might have happened by accident. It happens.
Yeah.
Oh, I think they raised it again. Or no.
Yep.
Okay, we'll come back. Oh, sorry, my mic. Okay. Thomas, is there anything else in the chat that you'd like to mention?
Some other comments, the quality of the schools, acreage, let's see, the low density neighborhood design. There's a desire for ramblers and first floor master bedrooms. And again, South Lake to consider the first floors, first floor homes as well.
Got it. Okay. I think this is a lot of good feedback as it relates to generally what attracted you to the area. Like I said, so I think some of the common themes you heard was schools, green space, open space, or just not being right so next door to your neighbor, residential, the type of residential zoning in this area. So okay, thank you for this information. Does anyone else have any other questions before moving on? I mean, comments, excuse me, before moving on to the next question?
We did get one more comment on shopping, close proximity, medical care, boys and girls clubs, and parks. Yep. Sidewalks, bike paths.
This is all good information, and there'll be another opportunity to expand upon that at one of our questions a little later. So thank you for those comments. Thank you all. So I think at this time we'll move on to the next question. Give me 1 second. So the next question is, and it kind of gets to what we talked about a little bit. People often need different types of housing for different stages of their lives. In the future, do you feel like there is a sufficient range of housing types in the Bowie-Mitchellville area that will be able to meet your needs? And as stated earlier with Prince George's County Plan 2035 goals in this planning effort, we want to be able to encourage a variety of housing types to not only meet the demand of future residents, but the current residents. And so, yes, I think Beverly, you started to touch on it a little bit. Did anybody else want to say something? I see a hand is raised.
Yep. So it gets back to N.Yule.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
We're gonna try. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you. It's Mule. Thank you so much. So I wanted to say, so this kind of answers the first question too. Sorry, I had some mic problems. So I've been living in Bowie since I graduated from college, and one of the things that brought me to this area is that there was a range of houses, but there was it was a place to grow. So I started out with a condo, and then I was able to later buy a single family home like 2 lights away from where the condo was in the first place. So I've always really loved this area, the open spaces. If I want to be around people, I can be around people. If I don't, you have that kind of privacy. I think some other people kind of echo that part as well. So yes, there was a range of housing options available at the time. And I think it's still pretty balanced of, if you want to live in an apartment, we have apartments. If you want condo, if you want townhouse, we already have a pretty good mix of those houses.
Got it. Okay, thank you for that. I do have a quick question.
Sure.
Regarding, so as far as the condo, which condo, if you don't mind me asking, I just wanted a little bit more specific as far as in the planning area.
Sure. It's across the street from Bowie Town Center, and that's the Vista, the Vistas at Bowie New Town Center.
Got you. Okay. And what made you decide to move there? Not just because it was a condo or the area. Just tell me a little bit more.
I actually graduated from Bowie State University. So I was already familiar with the area, and I just love the area. It was convenient enough to be across the street from Bowie Town Center. So if I needed to walk to the grocery store, I could do that. If I needed to go to the shops, I could. And we have the movie theater and everything like that. But then once I moved to a different phase of my life, I was able to still stay in this area and move, to a single family home where I could have space to kind of Well.
I got you. So what I've heard is that at that specific time, it met your lifestyle needs and kind of just what you had in mind as far as walkability and being able to access, the grocery store and the town center. But now you transition into a single family house. And what area do you live in now, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't want to say exactly where I am now, but it's not too far away from that vicinity.
Okay, I didn't mean to get too personal. I got you. All right. Thank you.
No problem.
Did you see any other comments, Thomas, or anyone else raise their hand?
For question 2, it sounds like senior housing and also the Ramblers with basements in terms of housing type.
Okay, thank
And
you.
it looks like we do have another hand from Tamika. Feel free to unmute your mic.
Yeah, I would agree. The Ramblers are key for having that that first floor where you don't have to navigate stairs. And also there are a few senior housing communities in Bowie that we think about when we think about sort of the next stage of our lives where we can go if we need assisted living. So there are options here. I'm not sure if as we all age, there are enough, but for right now, I feel like I do see enough options for us to stay where we are.
Great, thank you.
So we have a hand from Beverly Simmons. Feel free to unmute your mic.
Okay, hello, everybody. Again, now I can see everything. So the houses, back to the Ramblers, back to the ranch style. People are trying to buy now in preparation for their retirement. So they're buying, 10, 15, 20 years out. People that plan, a lot of my friends, they plan this out, but they're saying that there are not enough first floor bedroom homes. So when they do retire, they don't have to do the stairs. And a lot of people said they didn't think about that. They didn't think that, wow, I'm going to be retiring in 10 years or 15 years, and now I got to move again. But if they made good quality homes right now with first floor plans, the housing market would probably sell out of them as fast as they come in. And so I'm speaking up for every handicapped person that's still young, but need housing. They need housing because they don't do the stairs. So that's why I'm going to harp on that until we see more options and give them some land space. So we have the land space here, but the builders seem to be building more going upward for high density. But they would do good if they start building these homes with 2,000 to 2,500 square feet of a ranch home.
Okay.
At least.
So it looks like we have a hand from Mary.
Thank you for that, Beverly.
You're welcome.
Mary, did you want to go and unmute yourself?
Yes.
Hello?
I think we can hear with an echo.
Okay, can you hear me better now?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. My question is, park and planning back in 2017, I think it was a proposed approval, but there was a community called Traditions at Beachfield being proposed, and that community was for senior living. It was supposed to have single-family homes, townhomes, condominiums, independent living, rental units, and assisted living units. And it was at the intersection of 193. It was on 193. Is anyone able to provide an update on the status of that proposed community? Because this was a community that was being proposed to address the need for more housing for those entering the retirement years.
Okay.
So the single-family homes that were being proposed would have those with first floor, single floor living, master bedrooms on the first floor.
I can look that up while you guys keep going.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. Thank you, Scott. No, Mary, thank you. Thank you for that.
Okay.
We'll circle back to that once Scott finds the information regarding that project. Is that okay?
So a couple other comments popped up in the chat box. Condos with leisure activity areas areas access to medical facilities, gyms, swimming pools. They noted National Harbor style living areas to entertain and common areas and meeting areas, library conference rooms. Again, single family or single floor homes, single family homes. Yep. And then it looks like we do have another hand raised. And I would like to call on Jackie L.
Hi. One of my comments is that based on the age demographics of people moving into Bowie, it appears that from what was stated that the majority of the people moving into Bowie are those greater than 65. I think since this is a master plan for a distance into the future, that if we want a vibrant community, we need to have housing that attracts younger people also. And I think that's really important to consider the type of housing. And people have mentioned that already, like moving into housing that is close to either stores or for walkability, because that's the only way that Bowie is going to continue to be a vibrant community, is if we start attracting younger people to it.
Yeah. No, Jackie, thank you for that comment. I think we definitely understand the need for housing choice and housing options to be able to meet all different demographics, and I think it is important to make sure that we are considering housing for younger people, if you will, right? More millennials and in that demographic. So thank you for that comment, Jackie. Thomas, do we have anything else in the chat we would like to share at this time regarding this question?
We do have a question. Given the current health situation and the likelihood that future pandemics will occur, has the council given any consideration to reducing the number of multifamily high-density buildings? And that is an excellent question.
I think that is an excellent question. One of which
Yeah,
I don't think. Oh, go ahead,
I
Thomas.
guess my comment would be it's market driven. So if there's a desire or a market for higher or multifamily, higher density buildings, and the zonings in place that would allow that, that's the what's possible at that property. I definitely understand your point with the current conditions of pandemic or the pandemic. That's still unfolding in terms of how that's going to change the world and how it's going to change at the local level. So in terms of giving that consideration, I think that's something that everyone has on their mind, especially when it comes to developing. And then we have another question. Are there plans for more commercial development versus more residential? It would help the tax base. And my comment on that would be a lot of again, it comes back down to market. So a lot of developments do include some sort of residential component. There's also some examples in the Bowie area of like free market or Free State and Bowie Marketplace of being, I guess, enhanced or redeveloped in a way to improve, I guess, the attraction of tenants and new commercial development coming in. I think with residential, that's just where the need is right now with the changing demographics of Bowie becoming aging. There's a different type of housing market that is kind of developing, and that is the apartment buildings and the condos.
Thank you for that, Thomas.
Yeah.
Any other comments pertaining to this question at this time? If not, we can move on to the next question.
We do have another question. What is the plan to improve education options as kids grow? So, I guess, how would I answer that? I mean, school planning and deciding on where new school buildings should locate, it's definitely something that gets analyzed in part of a master plan. From what we've seen in the existing conditions report, the schools are not overcrowded at this time. There are 3 elementary schools that are above utilization, but overall the utilization is either below or on target. So as kids grow, then it will be evaluated whether new schools would be built or not, and where they would be built.
Yeah, thank you for that response, Thomas. I just wanted to circle back to Scott real quick. Were you able to find a response that relates to the beech tree property? If not, we can move on and come back to it later again.
I'm almost there.
Okay, no worries. We'll come back. We'll come back later. I think. Are we good to move on to the next questions, Thomas?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So moving on to question number 3 at this time. This is kind of like a 3-part question, but the first question is: have you or your neighbors experienced housing affordability issues? The second is: do you believe there is a growing issue with housing affordability in the Bowie-Mitchellville vicinity area? And lastly, how would you make housing more affordable, essentially? And this question gets to some of the affordable housing challenges we saw in the draft existing conditions report. These questions are all somewhat similar, but we wanted to get a discussion going on about affordable housing. So feel free to respond to the question you feel is most applicable. This question pertains to both rental and homeowners. So I think I'll give everyone a chance to think about that.
Looks like we
I do see a hand raised.
Hand raised. Feel free to unmute your mic. So,
Was that me?
Oh,
Hi.
yeah, I'm sorry.
We can hear you.
Yeah.
We can hear you.
I don't know who should go. This is Dana. And so we moved to the area because it was naturally more affordable for the region. We knew we were going to stay in this region for a little while, and you could find a pretty well-built Levitt home around here. And we were happy with the neighborhood and the diversity that we found here. I do think that there's a growing issue of affordability in the region based on the aging housing stock and the fact that the demand is just so high. Right now we're probably in a bubble, but it's a little crazy that the house next door just sold for over $100,000 than what its should be. And it's a colonial Levitt home. And one of the things I advocate for through this process is the ability to have accessory dwelling units. I think it's a great way to make housing more affordable and to allow people to live in place. If you can turn a portion of your home into a rental unit for whether that is the young millennial or another young person or a young family who can use that space, or a single person. So you aren't adding a whole lot of density. In our neighborhood, there are a lot of homes that are 4-bedroom homes that one person lives in, and they've probably been here since 1965. But by allowing them to have an ADU, I think we could see it would help with the easing the demand on development while also allowing people to age in place. Thank you.
Hey, Dana, thank you for that response, and even your suggestion or recommendation about the encouraging or as another housing type, ADUs, also known as accessory dwelling units. Thank you. That was really good feedback there. Thank you. Thomas, I saw a few more people raise their hands. Did you have something you want to say?
I can just fill in some of the comments. Just some confirmation that there's a growing issue with housing affordability, that it was less expensive, I guess, a couple decades ago, and that general sentiment that there is a affordability issue. In terms of hands raised, I believe Scott is up next.
Yeah, I just wanted to report out on Traditions at Beachfield. It had the planning board approved a preliminary plan of subdivision for Traditions back in 2018. I was approved for 133 lots for single family homes. And the property owner has submitted applications for final plats of subdivision that are currently before the planning board. And once those get approved, they can go ahead and pull building permits and begin construction.
Thank you for that update, Scott. Mary, assuming you're still on the call, hopefully that information was helpful to you and responded to the Beech Tree property project. Thank you again,
yes,
Scott.
That did answer the question. Thank you very much. The update is that it's now in the stages of receiving final approval, if I understand his answer.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
No
We
problem.
do have
Thank you.
another hand raised. Deason Hall.
Thank you. Good evening. I want to raise two things. I've commented about affordable housing. With that said, to counteract that argument, will those that receive affordable housing will be able to purchase food and be able to transport themselves around Bowie? Because if they're not next to possibly maybe Aldi's, because Aldi's is more, or Lidl or whatever that thing supermarket is, those are basically close to the cheapest supermarkets within the vicinity of Bowie. Also, I have not heard anyone mention about Melford. Is Melford a part of Bowie or Mitchellville? If it is, why aren't we talking about development within that area? When I drive by on 50, going up 50 behind the commercial lots, there's plenty of land up for sale, but I haven't heard of anybody developing that area. And why is that not on the platform? Thank you.
Well, I mean, the Melford area is one of our focus areas for this project. It's part of our Bowie local town center, Bowie Town Center. It's also defined as such in the general plan. In terms of development, there have been development applications at that area that are approved. So I'm not sure if we're talking about the exact same property, but as far as I can remember, there's, I think, about 2,500 residential units.
Correct.
Hold
go
on,
ahead.
Thomas, if you want me to.
Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, go for it.
Melford is approved for 2,500 residential units, 268,500 square foot of retail, 260,000 square foot of additional office on top of let's just 547,874 square foot of office and research. So that conceptual site plan was approved in 2015, and it covers the entire Melford area. So that's the current development plan that they have approved for that. And different phases are coming online as the market permits.
And I just dropped a link to the development activity monitoring system. So that keeps track of the different development cases that are happening in the county. You can find some of the basic details of like how many dwelling units or square footage of retail space.
Yep, I've been searching on the names of the developments and it comes right up.
We do have 2 more hands raised. We have M. Yule. Could you unmute yourself and provide your comment?
Thank you so much. I think I touched on a little bit earlier about the affordability and being able to find ample housing, but I did want to touch on maybe a growing issue of affordability, again, just for that entry level, but not every time it seems like we have these development meetings, a lot of the attention is concentrated around just the Bowie Town Center, when there are other areas in Bowie that could help with having more affordable housing. And reviewing the draft existing conditions report, I did know that there was an idea to put more housing, again, closer to Bowie State University and developing more things down that way, since there's already students kind of transitioning into all the way adulthood. I think that would be a better place that's better served for that kind of apartment style living housing versus putting it down in the Bowie Town Center area, because that area already has so many different projects coming on board and it's already traffic in the afternoon and nuts in that area. So I just want to put that out there. I think, yes, we could use more affordable housing, but not concentrated smack dab in the middle of the Bowie Town Center.
We do have another hand raised.
Thank you for that comment.
Sharon?
Yes, I was listening to one of the comments for the very first comment about what attracted you to Bowie, and it was talking about, a number of people said the green space. And I guess I do have a concern, having been a resident for a long time here, in watching how much development is occurring. And it seems that green space is kind of drying up because of the development. And has anybody given some thought to how to preserve that? Because as many of us said, that was something that attracted us to this area in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can go ahead and respond to that. No, I think that's a good point. I think, your concerns about just green space and development occurring in the area. I think that, they're currently not on the master plan, but the general plan, Plan 2035, already identifies a certain area within this planning area as a rural and agricultural tier, which I say essentially kind of discourages development. But the other thing that runs parallel with that is the zoning ordinance, which pretty much is the legal document that allows certain uses to be built in specific locations throughout the county, essentially in the planning area. And so I think I definitely understand your point. We're trying to preserve green space and open space. And I think all of that, there's a relationship and there's a correlation there between all of that. And I think we're mindful of that. So yes, but definitely that's a good point though. I don't know if anybody from the team had anything to add regarding that, but that would be my general response. But good comment though. Thank you for that. Was that Sharon?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, no problem. Thank you.
We do have another hand raised, Jackie L.
I would like to agree with Sharon's comment about green space and the fact that a lot of the development appears to be taking over a lot of the green space. When I looked at the map and the proposed, maybe I misinterpreted it, but sort of like the proposals for how the area was to be developed, it appeared that a lot of the green space was strictly relegated to the agricultural area east of 301. And it appeared based on the color, I think it was like an orange type color that was listed there, is that much more of the area west of 301 was under a proposal for, development of some sort. And one of the things I do value about Bowie is the green space. And I think some undeveloped green space areas are important, and parks. And when I say the word parks, it's not just athletic fields, but, you know, actual, you know, parkland area is really very important to the atmosphere of the city.
No, thank you for that comment. I'm not sure, was there a question in there as well? Or did
No.
okay, it was more of a comment. Okay, well, thank you for that comment. I think that's helpful information. I think looking at the time, it is 7:55. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. I know we advertised this meeting to go to 8 o'clock, so I want to be respectful of everyone's time. I know we had a few more questions, but you know, Thomas, I don't know if you feel comfortable with at least getting to one of those questions, or you just want to move to the Q&A. Not the Q&A, the last time for questions, and then go into the closing remarks. How did you want to proceed?
I think we have time for another question.
Okay, yeah, so all right, we'll have time for, we'll move on to the next question at this time. And then following that, we'll still provide an opportunity for you to ask any additional questions. And then Thomas will provide his closing remarks. I just want to note that, again, I'm going to be respectful of everyone's time. And if you can stay on longer, feel free. If not, we completely understand. So thank you. So we'll move on to the next question. Hold on. Oh. So the next question is, you know, basically talking about amenities. So what neighborhood amenities matter most to you in your neighborhood? And what amenities are missing from your neighborhood that, if present, would increase your quality of life? You know, a few examples of amenities can include, you know, like, you know, pocket parks or the parks or community spaces, etc., or whatever you define as a neighborhood amenity. I think I saw a hand raised.
We do have a hand raised by Beverly Simmons.
Hello. Okay, so what would make my neighborhood great is sidewalks. Sidewalks. Right now, it's a cheap way to cover the drains, but then the drains are over flooding. So it would be great with sidewalks. It would be great with speed lights. Even in the inner neighborhoods, people will not drive 25 miles per hour. They'll drive 50, 55, 60 miles per hour down the street. So a lot of neighborhoods can't even get speed bumps because we don't have an additional outlet. So my most important items are possibly speed bumps and sidewalks. We're developing like a city. Bowie is developing like a city, but it's still trying to have the rural look. But cars are not respecting that. So cars are driving 50 miles per hour down the street, and people are walking in the street because we don't have sidewalks in our neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. That's kind of.
Thank you for that comment, Beverly. Thank you for that. I saw the chat box going off. Did you want to say some of the comments in the chat box before going back to someone who raised their hand? How'd you want to go?
Sure. Some of the amenities, Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, pools, tennis courts, trails, access to public transportation, walking paths, healthy food options.
Okay.
Sidewalks. Parks.
Bike paths, library.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think these are all really good comments. Thank you so much. I did see a hand raise as well. I don't know who it was.
Tamika.
Okay,
Yeah,
Tamika.
so I would agree with the sidewalks, and then I think we talked about this in one of the earlier meetings, having an area where we can gather, where it's kind of a car-free zone, sort of the plazas that are similar to European cities, where we can gather as a community and shop and go to restaurants. And so that would be helpful. Definitely a community pool. We have very expensive pool clubs in the area, but if we had a city pool, that would also be a great amenity. It would improve the quality of life. So those are my suggestions.
Okay. Thank you for that, Tamika. That's really good feedback. Do we have any other comments related to this question at this time?
It looks like a library, bike paths, no potholes, which is important. Retail stores, parks. So.
Okay. Thank you for those updates, Thomas. Oh, I see someone with their hand raised. Did we want to? It's 8 o'clock at this time. We can, I guess, allow him to ask his question or comment, and then did you want to move on to?
I'm
Q&A?
okay with answering another. I think it was. Who was it?
Mr. Hall, I think it was.
Yes. One thing I wanted to add was right next to Bowie High School is the Performing Arts Center there. It's starting to become run down on the outside, and I think it's not really used to its capacity, although they try to bring people to the events, and it's a really nice, intimate setting, but I don't see like really extravagant events that could happen there that could bring the community together to go there. So I think it's being underused, to be honest. That's what I want to add.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that. We good to move on?
Yep.
All right. So I think for the sake of time, we'll move past the last question. Not that it's not important, but just for this, want to be respectful of everyone's time, and we'll, provide some time for any other questions regarding housing and neighborhoods to be asked at this time before moving forward with closing remarks. So, like we said earlier, we want to open the floor up for you to ask some questions you may have about housing in neighborhoods. If there is none, that's fine as well. No pressure.
We do have some hands raised, I think. Mr. Hall, is that meant to still be raised or? Nope. Okay.
Someone raised their hand before me, but I guess I'll go. I was wanting to ask, how long is this process is going to take in terms of this planning, and when will we see the effects of these discussions?
Sure. Andrew, if you could flip back to the schedule that we had at the beginning.
Hold on, give me one second. Hold on. I'm trying to. Yeah, give me 1 second. It's technology, I tell you.
But, yeah, so with the schedule, right now we're still in the outreach phase. So we'll continue our community chats, and we'll have our presentation regarding the playbook of strategies. And then we should have, I'm sorry, yeah. And then we'll prepare a playbook. Hold on, sorry, I need to have the schedule up in front of me.
You don't see me sharing it?
No, it's not showing up. Yeah, so I guess to answer your question, so right now we're at the community chat phase. That should wrap up in November. We'll have a staff draft for review in approximately summer of 2021. So that would be a good chance to interact. And then the planning board adoption is in December 2021 with council approval in February or May of 2022, depending on if there's a second joint public hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. And
do we have any other comments or questions? Anyone raising their hand or in the chat box? Thomas?
I'm not seeing any questions.
Okay.
Yeah. I got the one question. Can you talk about the types of housing that is planned for Freeway Airport in Bowie? Let me see.
Yeah, I can respond. I see he has his hand raised as well. Is that Kevin Jackson?
Yes. Yep.
Did you want to unmute your mic and elaborate on the question, or is it okay if you we just respond to the question, Kevin?
It's Michelle. I'm using our joint email, but you can just respond to it. But thank you.
No, my apologies, Michelle. I read Kevin. My apologies.
It's all good.
Yeah. So I guess kind of regarding that project, there was a proposal. Oh, go ahead, Scott.
Oh, I'm sorry, Andrew. I have it pulled up in DAMS.
Go ahead.
They have submitted a preliminary plan of subdivision for 416 lots for single-family attached units and 93 lots for single-family detached. That's something that it's been submitted to the planning board and it's currently under review.
Hopefully that helps answer your question, Michelle.
Well, do you know the DSP number? Because I drove past there today and the type was so faint, I said I was going to have to go by tomorrow and get it. What is the DSP?
Absolutely. It's not, I don't believe it's subject to a detailed site plan because it's,
that's right. It's a municipality.
It's
right.
Case number is 4-20006.
Okay. And so since that's not a DSP, where would I find information on that?
Well, the same place you would find information on a DSP through the through the planning department's website.
Okay.
Like we said earlier, the development activity monitoring system is down right now, but it should be back up and running hopefully tomorrow.
Okay.
There's information on that, and I don't think it has a planning board date yet for when the planning board would hear the case, but certainly go to the planning board site and you can sign up to testify.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Scott. Thomas, do we have any other questions or comments?
There's a question. Do you see a permit request for Fairview Manor, Bowie, for the 107 lots left? I don't see the permit request for that one, but I don't know if Scott or Andrew are aware.
I'm not personally aware of that project, but I don't know if anyone else is, but we can look into it and have a follow-up discussion with you as well, Beverly, or follow-up email or anything like that. That works. Okay. No worries. So I'm not seeing any other hands raised or any more other questions. I think for the sake of time, we can move on to your closing remarks, Thomas. If you feel good with that at this time.
Yep.
All right.
We can do that.
Thank you all. Sorry, all right, here we go.
Yeah. So upcoming events, we'll continue to do our series of community chats. We'll have the virtual presentation regarding our playbook of strategies in November. We'll have a total of 8 chats, one for each planning element. Our next community chat is tomorrow on October 1st. The focus for this one will be healthy communities. It's scheduled for 6 to 7 p.m. Each chat lasts about approximately an hour. These informal chats are a good chance to ask questions regarding the topic that most interests you. You can register on our website, where you can also find the full schedule. We're also planning our next public presentation regarding the Playbook of Strategies. This is scheduled for the evening of November 12th. The Playbook of Strategies is a document that reviews the data and feedback received from the community and creates urban design schemes to try and meet the challenges at key nodes and also address the issues for each of the planning elements. And I did want to take a second just to recognize our elected official in the audience, the Honorable Ingrid Harrison, at large, council member for the city of Bowie. I do apologize that I did not say that earlier. And then lastly, please note that today's presentation will be posted on our project website, along with contact information for the project team. Please contact us if you have any questions or comments, especially if we didn't get to your question today. On behalf of the team, I do wish you a good night and to stay safe. Thank you.